Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. It's Lou here of Luluslittleshop, and today we're going to be making this beautiful Sakura scarf. It's my latest design. You can check out all my projects on Instagram at Luluslittleshop. This is a level 2 easy pattern. You can grab the complete PDF in my Etsy shop, link in the description box below. Each flower only takes a few minutes to make, and it has 3 rounds. I change colors per round, so we have one color for the center, one for the stamen, and one for the outer round of petals. And then I made different colored flowers and joined them all together into a chain of sakuras. If you want to make one with me today, let's get our supplies ready. The yarn for this project was a gift from Hobby. This is their honey bunny yarn, and it's a super fluffy and soft, kind of like a velvety textured yarn. It's a number 6 super bulky yarn, and I'm using this yarn with a 6mm hook for this project. And you'll also need a pair of scissors, 2 stitch markers, and if you have a yarn needle with a large eye, you can use that to weave in the ends. But actually I'm using a smaller hook. This is a 2.75mm hook to grab the ends and weave it through at the end. I find using a smaller hook is much easier than trying to thread the yarn in through a yarn needle. For this pattern, make sure you're using medium tension, because if you crochet too loosely, then after we weave in these ends, sometimes the yarn, if it's a velvety texture, these little fuzzies will start coming off at the end. This one's not too bad. See, there it goes. So make sure you're using medium tension so that after we weave in the ends, everything is nice and tight, and the ends will be held in place with the tension. Okay, so we're going to start round 1 with a center color, and round 1 starts with a magic circle. We're going to chain 1 here. Remember, medium tension, don't crochet too loosely. And then round 1, we're going to make 8 single crochets into the magic circle. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. See how everything is nice and tight and the tail is secure? You can pull on this a little bit more if you like. Move it around so it doesn't come apart, and we'll trim that off later. Okay, so at the end of round 1, we have 8 single crochets into the magic circle. For round 2, we're going to start with a slip stitch, but first we're going to insert our hook into that first stitch from round 1 and change to the stamen color. Grab the stamen colored yarn and slip stitch. Okay, now we have the starting tail of the second color, and we're just going to keep it here so that we can crochet directly over it for round 2 instead of trying to have to weave it in at the end. So we have one less tail to weave in because it'll be already crocheted over. Okay, round 2 starts with 2 chains, and these 2 chains will look like a half double crochet, and then we're going to chain 1 more. This is going to be the first chain space, and then we're going to make a half double crochet into that same first stitch where you slip stitched into. Make sure you're working over the starting tail. Make a half double crochet. Make sure you're not crocheting too loosely. And then we're going to chain 2 more. And that pretty much is the first repeat. So we had a chain 2 counting as the first half double crochet, a chain 1 more, and then we had a half double crochet and chain 2. So we're going to have to repeat that 4 more times around. We're going to start with a half double crochet into the next stitch, chain 1, half double crochet into the next stitch, and chain 2. Okay, let's keep it repeating around. Half double crochet into the next stitch, chain 1, half double crochet, and chain 2. And when you're about halfway around for round 2, you can start actually weaving in the ending tail of round 1, and that's this long tail right here. So I'll put this tail over here and work directly over that, so then I don't have to weave that tail in at the end. Okay, so we're going to do 2 more repeats. A half double crochet into the next stitch, going over the ending tail from round 1, chain 1, a half double crochet into the next stitch, chain 2, 1 more repeat, half double crochet into the next stitch, chain 1, and then this last half double crochet is going to, this is actually the slip stitch we made when we closed round 1. So we're going to insert our hook here into that slip stitch that looks like a single crochet, and then chain 2. Okay, so now we're at the end of round 2. We're going to actually slip stitch to here, but before we do that, let's count our half double crochets and chain spaces from round 2. So remember, the first beginning chain 2 is going to count as a half double crochet. Then we had a chain 1 space here. Then we had another half double crochet, chain 2 space, and goes around. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 half double crochets. And then we also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chain 1 spaces. Those are the smaller chain spaces, and then these are the larger chain spaces. These are chain 2 spaces. We also have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and here is 5. After we make that slip stitch, you'll see the chain space up here. Okay, so we're going to insert a hook into the first chain space from round 2, change colors, grab the petal color, and slip stitch. For round 3, we're also going to work over our starting tail. So we have 1 less tail to weave in, and we're going to chain 1 right here. For the first petal, we're going to work in this large chain 2 space, working over the starting tail. And we're going to make a double crochet into that chain 2 space. Make sure you're not crocheting too loosely. Chain 1. Into that same chain 2 space, a second double crochet, chain 1, same chain 2 space, we're going to make a third double crochet, chain 1, and you can move these stitches down if you don't have any more room, and then also into the same chain 2 space, a fourth double crochet, and end with a chain 1. So that's the first petal, starting from a slip stitch to that chain 1 space, chain 1 into the next chain 2 space, double crochet, chain 1, second double crochet, chain 1, third double crochet, chain 1, fourth double crochet, chain 1. So we're going to repeat this whole thing around 4 more times for a total of 5 petals. Into the next chain 1 space, we're going to slip stitch, and chain 1. Into the next chain 2 space, we're going to make a double crochet, chain 1, second double crochet, chain 1, third double crochet, chain 1, and fourth double crochet, chain 1. That's 2 petals. Do a few more repeats, and now you can actually, let's trim off these yarn ends from round 1. We've already weaved in the starting tail from the magic circle, the ending tail from round 2. So now I can just trim these short. Okay, so round 1 is trimmed off, and then this is the ending tail from round 2. I'm going to bring it this way so I can crochet directly over it when I'm making these petals for round 3. Okay, so we're going to do a few more repeats, slip stitch to that chain 1 space, working over the ending tail from round 2, chain 1, into the next large chain 2 space. We're going to make a double crochet, chain 1, second double crochet, chain 1, third double crochet, chain 1, fourth double crochet, chain 1, and then we're going to 1, 2, 3, 4 slip stitch to the next chain 1 space, chain 1. We did 3 petals. Let's make 2 more. Into the next chain 2 space, double crochet, chain 1, second double crochet, chain 1, third double crochet, chain 1, fourth double crochet, chain 1. Okay, now we have 1 more repeat. Continue working over the ending tail from round 2. Slip stitch to the next chain 1 space, chain 1, next chain 2 space, a double crochet, chain 1, second double crochet, chain 1, third double crochet, chain 1, move these stitches down, and fourth double crochet, chain 1. Okay, now we have 5 petals. Pretty much all the ends are weaved in because we worked directly over them. Now we can just trim this off. This is the ending tail from round 2. And let's cut this one, leaving a few inches. This is the ending tail from round 3. And then we're going to just pull out this tail from the last chain. And here we're going to make a seamless finish. So you can either try to thread this through a yarn needle. Let's see if I can do it today. Yep, there it goes. Or if you don't have a yarn needle with such a big eye, you can use a crochet hook and just kind of grab it where you need it to go. Okay, so with this yarn needle, I'm going to first insert it into this chain 1 space. This is the first chain space from round 3. Insert it from the front to the back, pull through, and then bring the tail up here, and we're going to, go through the back loop of this last chain that we made and pull through. So now we've seamless finished, and what that did was basically use the ending tail to make another front and back loop to look like another stitch. So pull tightly, and now it's finished off, and now all we have to do is weave in this one end through a few petals back here. So I'm going to weave it through at least 2 or 3 petals to make sure it doesn't come out when you wear the scarf. Okay, so that's all weaved in. That's the back of the flower. Here's the front side. Do you remember where we started? So you can find this chain 2. This looks like a half double crochet, but it's actually a chain 2 for round 2. And here is where we finished off. So this was the first petal, second petal. We're going to take the second petal and mark these 2 chain spaces on either side of this middle chain space. Take a stitch marker, mark that chain space. And these are the chain spaces we'll use for joining with the second flower. Okay, so that's how you make one flower. And to join them all together, you have 2 options. I have 17 flowers made here. You could either make them all first so you can rearrange them any way you like, or you could make the first one, and then for the second one, you would make the first 3 petals. Then for the 4th petal, make the slip stitch, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, second double crochet, chain 1, third double crochet. And then here you would replace this chain 1 with a slip stitch into this right marked chain space of the first flower, and then continue with the 4th double crochet, chain 1, and then continue into the 5th petal, and we're going to replace this chain 1 after the first double crochet. We're going to replace this chain 1 with another slip stitch into this left marked chain space in the first flower, and then continue and finish out your second flower. So that's how you would join as you go if you just want to keep going and make the flowers and join them as you go. Or like I said, you can make all 17 first, and this is how I like to do it, so that you could play around with the different arrangements and see which order you like best. And then you would take the first flower, the second flower, and you could just undo a few stitches in the second flower. So this is basically the same thing, but you know exactly how much yarn you need at the end. And we're gonna undo the 5th petal and then a few stitches in the 4th petal. And we're gonna stop after this 3rd double crochet of the 4th petal. And then we're gonna continue here. We're gonna insert a hook. So this is like if we had made the second flower and we only made the first 3 complete petals, and then we stopped after the 3rd double crochet of the 4th petal, and then we're going to replace that chain 1 here with a slip stitch into this right marked chain space of the first flower. Take out this stitch marker, and then we're just going to insert a hook from the front to the back into that marked chain space. The yarn between the flower 1 and flower 2, we're going to pull it back here, yarn over, and slip stitch. So that joined the first flower to the second one, and then the slip stitch replaced this chain 1 after the 3rd double crochet. And now we need to finish out this 4th petal of the second flower. So we're going to continue with a double crochet into that chain 2 space in the second flower, and a chain 1. Now we're going to continue with our 5th petal, first with a slip stitch into this chain 1 space in the second flower, chain 1, make the first double crochet into this chain 2 space in the second flower, and then we're going to replace that chain 1 after the first double crochet with another slip stitch, this time into the left marked chain space of the first flower, this one right here. put the yarn between the top one and the bottom one, yarn over, and slip stitch. Okay, now we've joined these two flowers together at 2 spots, and we're going to continue and finish out this 5th petal. So we did the slip stitch, chain 1, a double crochet, a slip stitch to that chain 1 space, and then we're going to do a second double crochet in the second flower, chain 1, third double crochet, chain 1, and 4th double crochet, chain 1. Okay, now we can just pull out our ending tail. And now I'm going to show you how to weave in this ending tail with my smaller hook. This is a 2.75 millimeter. So instead of trying to thread this thick yarn through a yarn needle, I'm going to use the hook and grab it where it needs to go. So with the needle, we did insert from the front to the back into this chain space. With the hook, I'm going to go in the opposite direction from the back to the front. And then I'm going to grab this tail and pull it through. And then, since this tail needs to go into this back loop of that last chain 1, again going the opposite direction, insert the hook from the back to the front, grab the ending tail and pull it through. So here we've made the front and back loop with this seamless finish. Can you see? Okay, then pull on it tight. And now we've seamless finished off. And we just have to weave in this one ending tail on the back. So that's how you join these flowers together into a scarf. And again, mine was 17 flowers and it came out to be about 5 foot 4 inches long. And of course you can make yours as long or short as you like. And you can also use this pattern in any other project. Could probably make rows of these flowers and join them together into a blanket. I haven't tried it yet, but I think they'll be pretty. Yeah, if you make anything, make sure to show me on Instagram and use hashtag Luluslittleshop so I can see your projects too. Well, I hope you guys liked this tutorial. Let me know in the comments what else you'd like to see next. And again, you can grab this pattern as a PDF in my Etsy shop, link in the description box below. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!